Power. My name is Anna Yardley for Gravity Marketing, and Kelly is also joining me. We have other team members as well joining us today. We've launched. Oh, let me just check if I had a note here. Let me know if you can still see it. So we launched the Zoho's user sessions over 2 years ago. My God, yes, long ago. 3, almost 4. So 32 sessions so far. Today we thought we would share some knowledge about how to use dashboards. This is something we get asked very frequently about our clients and people using Zoho CRM. So I thought it would be a good topic to share as we're kind of wrapping up 2021 and getting ready for the next year. So I'm going to jump in straight into the topics. The goal for this session is to be very interactive. So it's not a PowerPoint session. It's really going into the CRM and allowing everyone here on the user group to be able to just ask your questions. So feel free to Q&A, ask or type anytime. There's a Q&A section you should be able to see on your screen on the left of Zoho meeting. If it's easier for you just to explain the question, just let us know and you can just unmute and be able to ask, and sometimes it's just easier. Okay, so let's see if we have everyone, and I think everyone can kind of see the Q&A section if needed. Okay, so what are we covering? Let's go into a CRM example. We have one set up just to go through and play a bit with the data. But I would say that to be really to make the most use of your CRM, you want to make sure that you're setting up your goals and transforming those into KPMs that you can define, then graphs, dashboards, the metrics you want to look at. So we'll just start with a very quick view of, think about 1 or 2 goals you would like to have for the next year. And then we can go through the right or the best reports to showcase that KPM, and then let's build dashboards from there. So in a very simple way, obviously we could be talking, days just about defining goals, but let's just start with something simple. So let's say you have a goal to grow your sales by X, 10% revenue in 2022 versus 2021. So when you're thinking about this, obviously as a business owner or a team manager, you have to drill down and break down that goal into tangible elements that contribute to that goal. So I just added 3 examples. You want to generate more leads. So you want to be tracking, am I getting new qualified leads? Am I adding new prospects to my CRM? You could be wanting to check on your sales activity and see how your sales activity is growing or not. So let's say you want to track meaningful calls per month, emails sent to prospects. And then you want to obviously see further down the funnel, is this actually transforming into new business revenue? So new business revenue versus recurring revenue, how many opportunities are being generated per month? How many dollars have you quoted? So how much do you have open or closed? And this obviously you'll have to adjust this to each one of your businesses, because I can see we have very different lines of business in the participants today. So the first thing I would say is let's just pick a few of these. So I'm going to showcase different dashboards for these goals, but they could be very simple as numeric, dollar amount, growth, change versus previous period to try to achieve this final goal. Okay. So let's look at the reports and dashboard types we have. So I'm going to share an account. But the reason for me to bring this up here is I don't know if you've explored or see all these options. So there's currently even a new type of graphic that I want to show you. But you really, depending on what you want to measure, you sometimes just easy to have a simple graph, right? The numeric amount change versus month. So this is an example. Or you might want just a KPI, just one number, and you have a feel for versus last month or versus last week or last year. So you can track that. Or you want a bit more information, or even like a table format. So let's look into the examples we have. So let me see if you can see my screen. Okay, let me just check because I'm technically on 2 Google accounts. So this is just let's use this as a demo example. So I would advise you to always start on your analytics. This could be called analytics or dashboard, depending on your CRM, or you could have named it something different. This is the section that comes pre-populated with a series of graphics, and these are what Zoho calls dashboards. And there's already a series of them by default. So I always advise you to, if you're not sure of how you want things to look, just start by having a feel for, oh yeah, I want something like this. I want to have a target revenue because I know exactly what those 10% mean versus where I am today. So let's kind of start with the top level. So here I would advise you, if this is something you like, just come and select the edit section. And this is on the, so I'm on the analytics tab of the CRM on the org view, organizational view. So let's just edit and see how this is easily customized. So very important, just give it a title that it responds to what you have. So let's say this is the revenue target. Usually it's this year. So you always keep it dynamic. So you don't have to update it instead of putting 2021 or 2022. If you just use the word this year, this month, it's always concerning the data of that period. So let's say this is a target in this case for the entire organization. I could also set targets if I wanted to break down, for example, by sales people. I could use users, or I could use roles for my organization, or I could pick up specific values. So right now, let's focus on this is, I want the organization, everyone using Zoho, to know that our target is to get to X amount. What this is going to be using is going to be using the deals module or opportunities module, depending on how you call it, that has everything you're working on that is transformed into revenue, right, when it's a closed one. So from here, I would advise you, in this case, obviously for this goal, we want to do a sum of the amount. Duration, it's the closing date of that year, or if you have other dates that are important for you, last time it was modified, I'd really advise you to use the closing date, because that's how you keep everyone on track to say, when you close a deal, you really want to make sure that you update that date to say, it's closed now, so the revenue is expected now, instead of using modified time or when it was created. And then you can set up your target. So let's say you want a little bit of a higher target. So it's going just to drop your line with your target and give you a feel of where you're at. And this is one simple graph. So the other examples are also a bit of a target focus. This is another idea. This is the more simple KPI where you just have a track of revenue, this month revenue, this year versus a previous period. So it's very good to track progress month on month. But let's say we wanted something different. For example, let's look into our example we had here. Let's choose a metric we want. Let's say I want to see the leads that are coming in. And I'm bringing up the leads because leads is something that it's quite specific how Zoho deals with it. So let's go into the leads analytics section. So when you're tracking leads, this is not what you're going to see by default if you haven't customized it. You would see like open leads, this week's leads. You might see all leads. Remember, Zoho CRM is really set up, ideally, you have your leads and you convert your leads. So leads shouldn't really be there for long. Leads should really be empty after, a few minutes if you're really following up close with your leads, because you want to check the lead and then convert it into something. If it's junk lead, just mark it as junk. If it's a lead that, a contact that you just received that, it's worth keeping on your database, great, just convert it to a contact. But if there's real business opportunity, then you should be converting this into a deal. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when you're tracking numbers in the CRM, when you're looking at leads, you should really be using this open lead function. So let's look what this means, just to know what's in there. So what I'm doing here is I'm counting the total number of leads that are open. So for these, you just do a count lead, created time this month. So you could say just the ones that are created this month. You could compare it to previous period to see if there's a lot of delay. A month, it's even quite long, to be honest. So we could be just saying like this week, open leads this week, and then just your title. So you make sure you know what's there. Most cases, your goal would be to consider the value is a positive, unless you want something to reduce, like if you're tracking the number of bugs or the volume of time that clients are waiting for a reply, then obviously the lower the better. but most cases, it's always an increased value is positive. So let's save it. Other examples of, oh, sorry, I don't think I can wrap up this idea. So when it comes to leads, if you want to say, okay, what has been coming through our website? What are the sources? It's really better to use this funnel section here I chose. So let's add a component to share where this is. When you're trying to understand how data moved into the CRM, this is a good example, right? We have a lead, but now the lead section is empty. So there's no point for me to be counting leads. I should really be seeing what's moving down the funnel, what's converted into deals, contacts. Then the funnel function here, the funnel dashboard type is the best, because this way you can still see leads that were created in the past, what happened to them when they converted, where they came from. And this is the one I prefer because it has this option to show you, for example, the location of the lead or the lead source or other element like the industry of your lead or the product they chose when they came by your website, for example, if you have that connected. This one gives you a bit more detail. This would be just more graphic, but I honestly advise this one to move forward. So let's see what you can do here. So you could build this to define how many stages you have. So let's say I want to start with leads that were created. So your module would be lead. Duration would be created, let's say this month. Sorry, not converted, created this month. You could have a filter. So you could say, I just want to make sure that it's everything that's not junk. So I want to ignore the junk ones that everyone marks as junk. It doesn't matter. So this way I'm counting everything that came in that's valuable. And I'm adding a next stage. So let's say your next stage is converted to contacts. I've written this before clearly. So I'm considering the volume of accounts, sorry, the volume of leads that have converted to contacts. In this case, I really just want contacts. And I don't want any criteria here because I want to know everyone that was created into a contact. And then let's say I actually want the one that generated a deal. So now I'm looking for contacts that have a deal attached. And we could keep it as simple as this, or we could be adding more stages if you have more stages in your process. The classification is what the example I was giving you. So you could use any usually drop-down option you have in the CRM. So you could use industry or lead source. I'm just going to save to an example, but I'll bring up to the one I have with data. So the example I have here is exactly this, is leads created, converted to contacts and customers in this demo example, where I broke down by lead source. So I don't lose track, even these leads were converted, you don't lose track and you can still count them and say, yeah, this is what was created in that period of time. So you can see a conversion rate, a bit geeky, but I just want to highlight this because a lot of people ask us like, what happened with the leads if I convert them? If you really want to track them, this is the best. It's using the funnel element to know what, to track data that changed, right? Let's see another example. So let's see now you want to track, this is something that I get asked a lot of times as well. Can I track emails sent to prospects or meaningful calls? So if you want to set this up, usually if you want to add here, you can check your activity stats. They wouldn't have that information by default. Zoho doesn't have that. So you'll have to add a component. So you could have to add a component, you could choose one of these and go from there. So you could just say, I want to see a quick chart. Usually, if it's a bit deeper information you need, or if you want to filter in a bit more advanced way, you might actually have to go through the reports. So these are the two options. Let's do it again. So instead of just a predefined one, you go from pick from gallery, and you'll have the option of the quick, sorry, get into there. So you want to add a chart and you'll say, okay, let's go quick chart or a report because I already built the report. So I just want to see it visually. So let's do both because this will basically allow you to deal with any type of report or KPM you want to use. So let's say we want to say email sent. You'll see what module you have available. So in this case, it's connected to emails. So I want to count type of emails, and I want just to know everything that was sent. I could have a certain criteria. So you ideally just click on that item that will tell you how you could group them or filter them out. Let's say we're going to use our source is, let's say I just want the autoresponders and the autoresponders follow up I set up, for example. This is the source of the email. So the ones that I've automated through the CRM. You have more options. You can have a benchmark. You can say, I just want to have a target of like 25. So I see how I'm facing versus that, or you don't need to, but if you do, you'll just have that guiding mark. Let's just try this one out. I didn't group. So how am I going to group? So I could group by date. I could be grouping here by subject or template name. So this is another option if you're trying different emails. Okay. And I'm going to bring my data because when I'm playing with data, obviously it will never show. So let me show you the real example. So in this case, I'm grouping emails sent per month. So let's edit so you can have a quick look of how I did it. So I'm doing a report with totals emails sent. I'm counting the emails. So can you spot the difference? So here, to do this level of detail, I actually had to go through a report. So let's see how you do that. So when you are adding the component, instead of a quick chart, because it wouldn't give me that detailed data, I have to go through a report. So the list of reports I have will show here. So for the report to show, you have to build it first. And this is a quick tip that I will share, and it's here. So when we're looking through building your KPMs, obviously always start with defining which KPMs you want to look at. Take note of what you want to track. Start at the dashboard level as we saw, because you'll have a lot of the visual elements available right away. You can also use the pre-built option or the gallery. So there's a lot of stuff to build, but most people do have to, there's always one or two examples where you have to go and build your report first for more information or advanced filters. And then we create the graph from the report, and that's how we can get it. So let's do that. So for this specific example, I wanted to know how many emails I'm sending on a monthly basis, right? To see and track sales activity that contributes to my total revenue. Now, when you come to your reports, again, there's also a lot of stuff built. So I would go, this is related to emails. So I would go to emails. If you don't want to go through all of them, you can also use the function, the search function. So just start typing to see what's out there. These are the ones by default, the ones with the stars I've already built. So let's just look at an example. Actually, let me create a report from scratch. Because this changed. So this look and feel, if you haven't used Zoho for a while, or if you're just starting, the look and feel changed. So now it's a bit more, I don't know if it's a bit more intuitive. It allows you for more things, so it's better. So it's more robust. So I want to know emails that have been sent to my contacts, because that's where all the database is. So this is my basic module, but I really want the email information. So I'll have to connect with the email element. You have two options. So it will ask you if you want to show all contacts created with or without email sent, which I would advise for this exercise, or if you just want to show contacts with emails. So I want to show all of them. So continue. And then this is very important and different. And if you've been using Zoho CRM for a while, you would notice the difference, which is before you were only playing really with columns and certain sort of groupings. Now you can customize all your, so let's play with this, all your rows and columns. So let's ignore this. So let's say I just want to know who I sent it to. I want to know their emails. So if I want to add more columns. So let's say I want their title or their persona. Okay. And let's say I want now to see, I want to grow my groups by persona. So it's going to say, okay, I want to look at all the owners. So I have 20 here, and then let's look at the other ones. And let's swap this so I see a bit more information. I actually want to know their title. So you see how the information is doing. So I'm customizing columns. I'm creating groups that will give me a subtotal. And then I could be saying, okay, so now let's see. Email template. And I want to see sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Go back. I want to set the filter because I want to see sent on current month. So I'm going to title this report as this wouldn't be probably email sent. Choose which folder. I would advise you to keep it here on the email reports so you kind of can see them. And then you coming into this like, okay, I know I have more. So what happened there? So sent on. So let's look at the columns. What am I grouping? I'm grouping templates that I'm using, personas. I don't want to save all of these. Let's look at another example. And let's look at the edit portion. And this is where I really wanted to get you to is you will be building data to show on a like you would have on an Excel with tables. But it's really about the graph to bring that into the dashboard because this is what is going to give you a very good feel of what is happening. So when you have your when you have your reports, you have an option to add the visual element. So I was going to actually see if there's a better way to show you. So let's create here. Okay. Well, I don't really have much data on this one because it's a demo. But I want to show you the example of having this dashboard. So when you have your visual, this is one option to add to the dashboard. So you can add it from here. You'll create the component and you could choose which dashboard you want to use. So if I wanted to send this to the marketing metrics where we were before, we could add it. It's already there. That's why it's not letting me. But that's how it shows up on your analytics. And this is where my graph is. So when you're adding a component and you're bringing a chart from reports, the reports, every report will be here. So you could obviously start browsing by the name you gave it. And you could still customize when you're in this dashboard. You could customize, you could have a different look and feel for it. So you can still customize as long as the data is there. And hence this tip to say, you always want to start at the dashboard level first to have a feel of the visual you want. Check the pre-built or the gallery section. If not, then if you have to go to the report and generate, or if you're just someone who prefers to deal with Excel files and raw data that way, build the report first, and then you can export that to a dashboard from the report section. So let me see if there's any questions, because there's a lot we could be showing here. There's another cool option, which is when you see something you like, you could simply clone it and change it. Let's see, for example, here I have total accounts. Let's say I just want to see new accounts this month. So I could clone this element and call it, I just want to look at new accounts that my salespeople are adding or my marketing team is adding. I would be cutting accounts, count of accounts created this month versus the previous period. So that will give you different KPI. So here I'm just tracking total quantity. Here I'm tracking a bit more of activity focused. Other examples, I don't know if there's any questions of specific things. Right here, another question I have that's quite frequent is, okay, we're in analytics tab, you've defined all this, but then you just want to have a home view. And that's kind of how the program is set up, Zoho. So very deep detail information you would build a report for that you can bring as a dashboard to your analytics. I like this section because it allows you to see a lot of information just with the power of one click, because you can go from marketing to sales to organizational view with all revenue. But if you just want to use your home as the place where you come to, then when you're on your home tab, you can add a component, and that component will allow you to bring it from the dashboard. So if it's already there created, you could just bring, okay, now what are the 5 things I want to look at daily when I come in, or the 10 things I want to share with someone. So I just want to share a home view, not the full detail. So that's how you add. Okay. So let me just have a feel for something. Let me just launch a quick poll. How many of you are currently using dashboards in the CRM? So using this section, this could be called dashboard or analytics, depending on the version. Okay, so most of us are not using it. So this is a very good tool to. I just realized that I didn't have my video on. I usually do like to have my video on. This is a very good tool to set up expectations for everyone, for all the team. Also, a very good tool to expectations, accountability. I advise my clients who are running sales meetings or business owners who are running, their different directors, just each one of them can have a dashboard. Each one of them can know, what am I responsible for? And everyone, when you're on a meeting, when you're discussing results, everyone is on the same page instantly because we're all looking at the same data. And that is very powerful. So if you're planning your 2022 and you already have some data, you could start playing with that data, or you can just start the free account and play with it. If you can start from our website as well, a Zoho CRM free account. It's forever free if you haven't used it yet. But if you're already using, just play with your data in this way. So go to your analytics section, see what's already there. There's a lot in here by default. Add your components, select what type of visual you like the most. I didn't show you the zone, so the zone is a cool one as well that is just new. I think I added one here. I don't have much data, but it gives you a good visual of, this is good, for example, to track revenue versus deals closed. So if you have a big sales team or, significant sales team and you want to have a feel for who's has to go through run a lot to close a certain number, that's a very good graph to show, you run a lot, you do a lot of proposals, or you quote a lot, you get more revenue versus you quote less. Or it could be a different pattern. You could have people quoting less, but just quoting higher, and they get to their goals the same way. So this is just a different visual that Zoho brought in. But the main difference is the reports are more powerful, and in the report section, and then you can bring those into your dashboards. Okay. Well, we've kind of come up to our time. I don't see any questions. So the Q&A section is on the left. I can still dedicate a few more minutes for this. If you have any questions, feel free to just email us. We do like to have a user session like this every month where we just share a topic. So if you have questions, please do send us those questions beforehand so we can go through them. Also check our blog section. So Gravity crm.com in our blog section, you can just filter by Zoho content, so you can see recordings of other sessions that we'll be sharing. If you have other topics you would like to look at. If not, just join us in our next session and just let us know what you would like to go through. And let me know if you would recommend this session or not. Just a quick vote to have a feel for how useful it was for the audience today. And we do appreciate all your time. Well, thank you so much for the feedback so far. We will we'll keep you posted, and hope you have a great week and happy Thanksgiving. It's almost there next week. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.